Hello and welcome back to my channel. I've had a nice week this week and I'll share my results with you in a little while. But first of all, I'd like to show you something. Joe is a keen artist and his favourite medium for art is photorealism, drawn with pencils. And Joe can produce pictures that apparently are so much like a photograph that it blows people's minds. He's done several pieces of work which we've had framed for different people, and the framers have been amazed at the hand-drawn pictures. But for me, for my new kitchen, which was put in a few months ago, Joe's done a series of pictures to brighten up my kitchen, add a bit of colour. And I'm going to show you one today. They're relevant to my journey, really, so they do map my journey. Today's picture is called The Clever Carrot. So again, we're into the speed food. I'll show you. Here he is. I'll lift him to get him all in. I think that's it. And show you the rest coming down. These pictures are hand drawn and then scanned and digitally coloured, but they are hand drawings. And I mean, people have described them to me, Joe's described them to me, and I love them. I love the idea of them on my kitchen walls. I've got 5 different pictures, so I'll show you one each week for the next 4 weeks. He does make me proud, you know. Right, today's results. I went to group this morning. It was Man of the Year, lovely group, fabulous taster session. I've tried a few new dishes, including beetroot jelly, which is in one of the books and was really nice. And I gained £0.5. Now, I'm not unhappy with that, because when my mum said to me yesterday, what would you like at group tomorrow? I said, I think a maintain or a £0.5 gain, because I need to get out of this chain of losing £0.5 each week. There's a danger I wouldn't know where to stop and I'll be back out to the bottom of target again, which is not what I'm aiming for today. So I gained £0.5, which puts me £1 under target. And I have to say today I'm comfortable with that. I mean, what's £0.5 when you think about it? It's a small tin of baked beans, isn't it? I need to be mindful about really being comfortable maintaining and not playing mind games with continuing to lose. So for this week, I'm going to go ahead and do what I always do, my 2 A's, my 2 B's, my 11 sins, and hopefully maintain next week. So that's good. Thoroughly enjoyed group. We had 3 guys up for Man of the Year. I would say one guy maybe in his late 50s, one guy maybe in his late 30s, and one guy maybe in his late 20s. And you know, they were all deserved winners. They all have done extremely well. I think they're really brave to come into a massive room full of women to start with, because that's daunting for the guys, I think. The amazing thing about the result is one of these guys has a wonderful sense of humour, and I think we thought he'd run away with it. But when it came to voting, there was 1 vote between each of them for a place. The first place got 1 vote ahead of the second place got 1 vote ahead of the third. So isn't that nice? And actually, it wasn't the young funny guy who won. It was the guy who fell into the middle of the 3, age-wise. And he was a really deserved winner, really deserved winner. And, oh, it just makes you so proud of all of them, because they're following plan and they're talking plan. And it's really encouraging, because you learn from these people who haven't been around but a few weeks. They're teaching me something. I think it's one of those lifestyles for Slimming World that is always evolving. It's never going to stand still. There's always new things to learn. There's always new products to find. There's always new fruit and veg to try. I mean, we were in Tesco this week and we saw this vegetable that looked a bit like, well, it felt like a giant courgette in a way. What was it called, Joe? Doody? A doody. It's an Indian vegetable. The unfortunate thing is there's nothing in there. There's no sign up in Tesco telling you what you do with a doody. So we must Google it. But Confessions of a Slimmer did a little challenge a couple of weeks ago saying, try a new speed veg, try something you haven't tried before. And I think that's the beauty of Slimming World. There will always be something new to try. If it's not a new fruit or veg that we come across, it'll be a new product on the shelf in our chosen supermarket. Now, we were in Aldi yesterday. We seem to shop between Tesco's, Aldi, Asda. But we were in Aldi yesterday on our way home, and Joe found this Old El Paso, and it's a chunky, mild salsa, thick and chunky, mild salsa. Now, he did tell me before I started vlogging how many sins this was, but you know my age and my memory. Remind me, Joe.
2 tablespoons for 0.5.
So 2 tablespoons for half a sin. That's a mild one. There's also a strong one. And Old El Paso is a good brand. We use their refried beans because they're free, whereas not everybody's refried beans are free. And they're a great addition to slow cooker dishes and fajitas, is it? Things like that. No, enchiladas? Something like that. So, good choice. 99p in Aldi. Then we found, let me get them the right way round, these. These are lovely. They're 102 calories, which in my estimation makes them 5 sins. Now, I like a flapjack. Some of them are so full of additives and things, you're a bit wary about what you buy. But these have got no artificial sweeteners, no artificial colourings, no added salt, and they're high in fibre, which we know is good for us. Now, that's the box. I think they might have been about £1, £1.50, can't remember. That's the bar. So you can see compared to my hand, it's a fair size bar for 5 sins. And I think sometimes with a cup of tea, a mug of coffee, you want something sweet, but you want something that's reasonably natural. This is better for me today than a bar of chocolate. It scratches that sweet itch. So that's a couple of new products we found in Aldi this week. Right. Word for the week. This came out of a conversation I had with a friend on the phone on Thursday. We were going out for the evening, but my friend wasn't able to get away from work, so we decided we'd have a chat on the phone instead and catch up. My friend has lost more weight than I've lost. And, I've lost 11.5 stone. She's lost more than me. She's looking amazing. She's tall, she's slim, and she's probably healthier like I am than she's ever been. But following our conversation, the word that sprung to my mind was motivation. Motivation. Purely because of a couple of things we'd talked about, something she specifically asked me. She said to me, we were talking about our Slimming World journey, we're both at Target. She's just due to go on holiday for 2 or 3 weeks, and she said to me, Jane, how do you stay motivated? I thought that's a good question when you're just about to fly off for 2 or 3 weeks, because your lifestyle's going to be quite different when you're not at home, not at work, not in your routine. And I thought, how do I stay motivated? Do you know, it's not something I really think about anymore. I don't know that I get up every day and look for motivation. I don't think I do. I don't know that I get up every day and feel motivated. I know there are days when I get up and I don't feel like doing anything very energetic, but I tell myself this is part of your life now. If you're not going to walk, you can't eat the way you do. Or if you're not going to walk and you do eat the way you do, you're going to gain weight. Because I proved that a few weeks ago, didn't I, when I had the fall. But do I look for motivation every day? No. I believe that now, how can I put it? After 6 months of maintaining, so I've moved on to that chapter of maintaining rather than that motivation to lose weight. I think after 6 months of maintaining, every day eating this way, as in food optimizing, it's become a sort of ingrained thing that I do. This is my life. This is my lifestyle. I don't need to keep finding something to make me bounce back up to doing it, because I don't let myself fall out of doing it. I know today that if I was to fall off the wagon, and please God that's not going to happen, but if I was to fall off the wagon, I have friends around me at group, I have friends around me in my everyday life, and I have friends around me on YouTube, and people who care enough about me, and people who are honest and real enough with me to say, Jane, stop making excuses, get your arse in gear. I mean, there are a few ladies I've met on YouTube and communicate with who I may never meet face to face, but people that, not people I feel accountable to. The only person I am accountable to is myself. I can't fall into the trap of giving somebody else that power. I have to be accountable to myself. But there are ladies out there, and you know, Helen, Donna, Lauren, Jo, you inspire me, you keep me on track, you motivate me, for want of a better word, because you're doing it. There are other people on my journey, people that I know, people I see on a weekly basis, people I watch on YouTube, who have exactly the opposite effect on me. And I think, I don't want that. I can't do that. That won't work for me. But in a strange way, that can be motivational too. Because if I'm aware of what I don't need, what I don't want, what doesn't work for me, that also helps me to live the way I'm living today, which does work for me. So it pulls in last week's repetition, repeat the good stuff. It also sets boundaries, which I've talked about before. I need to be real with myself today. I can't use the excuses that I've used over the years. I was telling Joe earlier this morning about the number, and I think I amazed him, the number of Slimming World clubs that I've belonged to over the years. I think I would need at least 3 hands. Excuse me. Yeah, I think I'd need at least 3 hands to count the groups that I've been to within 4 or 5 miles of where I live. Every time I left a group because I thought I could go it alone, because I wasn't prepared to toe the line, because I wanted to do it my way, every time I left a group, I was reluctant to rejoin the same group. I think with the exception of once, I always found a new group, even if it meant, a car ride. Although, to be honest, there are probably 10 groups currently within 3 miles of where I live. Everywhere we go now, we keep seeing Slimming World signs outside churches and public buildings. I mean, we were driving through Retford yesterday and Joe said, oh, there's a Slimming World group there on a Monday. We see it everywhere now. I have left so many groups because I didn't agree with the way the consultant told me to do it. I didn't agree with the way the book said I had to do it. I wasn't ready to do the plan. I have left so many groups because I couldn't cope with the way other people did it. I didn't mind my own business. I was busy analysing and taking inventory of everybody else in the group. Today, I have the freedom not to do that anymore. I talked to probably 10 different people at group this morning, and I listen to their results, and they'll tell me have they lost, have they gained, and they might say this happened because, but it goes in one ear and out of the other. I don't judge other people's results anymore. Sometimes I would like to message somebody and say, have you thought about doing this? Or could you try doing that? And I'm having to be a bit careful because I don't want to ever come across as the Slimming World police or the Sims police. I just know that for me today, this is the way I have to do it. I don't know that it would ever work for anybody else. I used to sit in group and think I shouldn't have to do what everybody else does because poor me, I went blind when I was 16 and it's not fair and I'm angry and I'm resentful. But over the years, I've done counselling, I've done proper courses in transcendental medication.
Medication. Yeah,
That's a good
obviously.
one. I can medicate myself. I can self-medicate. That's good. Meditation. Sorry, I got my wrong teeth in today.
Great call.
I've done courses in transcendental meditation. In fact, I learned transcendental medication. See, I can't say it. Meditation with a wonderful guy who was a producer and director at a Manchester television station, Granada Television. Yeah, and this was many years ago. And I do not meditate every day, but I know when I need to, and I know how to do it, and I can use those skills. I've done counselling. Do you know, I did quite a lot of different counselling, and I needed to deal with accepting the fact that I went blind. I went to loads of counsellors, and I don't think any of them really understood where I was coming from. How could they? They weren't blind. And then about 7 or 8 years ago maybe, I started to see a counsellor who was visually impaired. And Lord, it was like somebody turned the light on, because I could say what I really felt and my real experience of daily life, and he understood where I was coming from. So not only did it help me because he got it, it also helped me financially, because at £60 a session, sitting there for an hour trying to explain to somebody all the time what you meant by certain things relating to blindness was costing me a lot of money. But he got me, I got it. I let go of so much stuff that, you know, it's another freedom in my life. I don't have a problem with being blind anymore. I used to eat over it. Today I can't use that as an excuse. There's been lots of issues in my life, you know, miscarriages and stuff, and there's been lots of good stuff, because it isn't only the bad stuff that I ate over. I ate over the good stuff. When I got engaged, I remember being really happy, and we got engaged in May 86 and planned a wedding in April 87. So I had 11 and a half months to lose. I think I wanted to lose a stone at that point. I had 11 and a half months to lose a stone. I was so full of joy, you know, living the life. We went out a lot. We had a good social life. We ate, we drank, we celebrated, and we had a lovely family lifestyle with Richard's family. His dad and his mum used to take us to some amazing places, which always involved food, because I'm a foodie. When I got married, after restarting Slimming World 3 times within those 11 and a half months, I actually weighed £1 more than I did on the day I got engaged. So there you see, I ate because I was happy. So it's not all about being miserable. But today, looking at motivation, what motivates me to do this? I thought it was clothes. In the early stages, I thought it was clothes because I love clothes. And I thought I'd love them even more when I could walk into any shop, swish something off the rail, swish into the changing rooms, drop it on, it fit like a glove. Now, yes, buying clothes has improved. It's not as hard at the size I am today and the weight I am today as it was when I was a size 24, 26. In those days, the sole shop in Nottingham for bigger ladies, bonnier girls, as my mother used to call me, was Evans. Now, we don't have an Evans anymore. We had a little Evans department in BHS, but that's just about to close. I think we have a little Evans department in Outfit, but I don't shop there anymore. Today, I can walk into any high street shop and pick up any size, 12, 14, sometimes a 16 in tops, depending on the fit, and try on 20, 30 pieces of clothing and have a choice. And I still sometimes walk out the shop with nothing because I choose differently. I used to choose to buy the thing that fit. So if I went into Evans and I needed a dress because I was going to some social occasion, I'd buy the only dress that fit me. I didn't care what colour. Well, I did care, but I used to pretend I didn't care because then it didn't hurt. So I pretended I didn't care what colour it was. I pretended I didn't care what style it was. If it was a dress and it fit, I paid for it. The price didn't come into it because I didn't have a choice. I've bought dresses in Evans that make me want to cry now when I think about how awful they were. And I've paid a lot of money for them. And I've looked a mess. And I've hidden inside a cardigan in the middle of summer because the dress was totally wrong for my body shape. The only way to improve it was to put a black cardigan over it. In July, don't do that anymore. I used to go into Evans and I'd find a dress and it'd have a V-neck, which I quite like a V-neck line. I like a sweetheart neckline. But it would have a V-neck. It would be buttoned through, which wouldn't always be my dress of choice because when you're busty, buttons don't always sit nicely. But that'd be the only dress that fit. But then why the hell did they always put 2 tie belts to pull the flipping dress back over your bum when you've got a big bum that's already got a shelf above it? Why? Don't laugh, Joe. I had a big bum with a sort of shelf above it, and then this dress would have 2 tie belts to fasten above my shelf and make it look even bigger. Why?
And
Why
the
did they do?
bras.
Oh well, I'll do the bra issue in a minute. This amuses Joe. Why did I? Well, I bought that dress because it's all there was. Now today, I'd go into a shop on the high street, I'd see a dress that had 2 tie belts that fastened above your bum. I wouldn't even try it on because I don't like that. I don't like that style. It doesn't do anything for me because I haven't got a bum today to fasten above. I need something now that's slimming and flattering on the hips and the thighs because I don't have much in the way of hips and thighs. I'm very straight there. When you have a choice, like today, I can go into Next and I can take arms full of clothes into the changing rooms and still choose to buy nothing. That's freedom. I was in Next the other day. I wanted to buy a couple of tops or something. Couldn't find anything I liked. I walked out of the store. Didn't feel disappointed. Didn't feel deprived. Just felt, that's refreshing. I've got a choice. There was one top I liked, but I didn't like the material. And I can choose that today. I couldn't choose it before. Now, where am I going with this? I'm going into a place that says it's not a big deal anymore. I can't eat over it anymore because there's nothing to eat over. I've been in Evans, paid £25 each for 3 or 4 t-shirts with the most horrendous. I remember once buying a t-shirt with an elephant on the front. Joe will have to get that as a parcel. Were Evans taking the piss? Why would somebody who was a size 24, 26 want to wear a pink t-shirt with a big grey elephant on the front? You know? Because it fit. I had to, it fit. I've bought some of the most horrendous things when I look back on them. But I don't have to do that anymore today. And I don't have the excuse to eat over it. I have freedom. I'm waffling, aren't I? But I just want to share with you that although when you get to be a smaller size, you may find that experience that you thought you would have of the wow factor of going out and buying clothes doesn't really exist. It's still a freedom. It's still a freedom. It gives you choice. Yeah, the wow factor of buying clothes. I thought all of you girls out there who were a size 12, 14 would walk in anywhere and buy anything and feel like $1 million. My experience of clothes shopping today is that the manufacturers out there don't make clothes for women who are female shaped. I'm not sure who they do make clothes for, but you'll still find when you're a size 12 or a 14 or a 10 or wherever you get to be a size 8, that there will be clothes hanging on the rails in your favourite shop that are not your shape. But it's not an issue anymore. It's not your fault. It's the fault of the manufacturers. Certainly not because you're big. So can I leave that thought with you? The conversation I had with a friend the other day culminated in her saying to me, tell me 3 things today that have changed in your life because you are not the woman you used to be. And I came up, firstly I was thinking about the clothing thing. And then I thought, I said to her, leave it with me, I'll send you an email when I've thought about it. So I was lying in bed last night thinking about it, and I thought 3 things, just the first 3 things that I've come up with that have changed in my life because I'm not the big girl I used to be. Well, the first thing is when I eat out, when I walk into a restaurant, a coffee shop, those sort of environments, I used to be so embarrassed because, when you go between 2 tables in a coffee shop or a restaurant, you've got a gap like that wide. If I turned one way, my belly would be knocking something off somebody's table and my bum would be knocking something off the table behind me. If I tried to walk through forward, the gap wasn't big enough. It was embarrassing. I can't tell you how many times, because I can't see either, so it just makes it harder, but I'm sure it's the same problem for anybody who is a size 26. Your belly gets in the way, your butt gets in the way, and before you know it, you're embarrassed. Well, I was embarrassed. Or I'd get to a restaurant or a dinery that was American style booth type place, and I'd be with friends, and you're expected to slide into a booth. How do you slide into a booth when your boobs are sitting on the table? Where do you put your dinner? Oh, I can't tell you how many embarrassing experiences I've had, even to the extreme that I've been in that situation where there've been booth style seats and I've not been able to slide in because I've been too big. I remember one particular occasion where they fetched me a chair so I could sit at the end, in the aisle. Oh, I've got shivers going up and down my spine at the moment with the embarrassment of remembering that. Unless you've been as big as I was, and I'm sure I'm not the only person, and this is reality to a lot of us. Unless you've been there, you might not know. And it is funny when I look back on it. It wasn't funny at the time. It hurt. I remember one day, this amuses me, it might not amuse anybody else. One day I was walking through a restaurant to get to a table and I had my guide dog with me. And I don't have a guide dog anymore, but I used to have a really big retriever. His name was Robbie, and he was an amazing dog. But we walked between 2 tables that were very close, and he guided me in a straight line. He was excellent, straight between these tables. And the man at the other side of the table kind of stood up, and I don't know whether he was going to try and move the table so I could get through or what. But as we passed through, I didn't realise that Robbie took the bread roll off this guy's side plate with one very swift, very discreet action. He was a tall dog. The guy kind of stood up, went to move the table to let me through, and we got past, and I heard the man say, "Where's my bread roll?" And I thought, oh God, I've knocked his bread roll off with my fat butt. As you do when you're fat, as fat as I was. And I was cringing. Inwardly, I was cringing. And I kept thinking, any minute now he's going to see it on the floor. And then I realised there was a munch sound coming from my guide dog. I hadn't knocked the bread roll off with my fat bum or my fat belly. The dog had taken it as he walked past.
What about the time at cricket that you've told me about as well?
Oh yeah. When I was first married to Richard and put a lot of weight on, we were members at Trent Bridge Cricket Ground, and we regularly used to go to matches. If we walked along in front of the members' pavilion where we sat, there was a particularly nasty man who used to whistle or hum the tune from Laurel and Hardy, because I was so big and short, and my husband is my partner, husband, ex-husband, whatever he is. We're still married, but we're friends. My ex, and he's probably watching this and he'll remember, is what's Dad, 6'3"?
Yeah, 6'3", 6'4".
Something like that.
He's tall.
He's very tall. And at that time he probably weighed 10.5 stone and I probably weighed 17.5 stone. And this horrible man in the members' pavilion used to whistle or hum the tune from Laurel and Hardy. At the time, it hurt like hell. I can't tell you how much it hurt. Today it makes me laugh.
And today it doesn't happen.
Well, it doesn't happen anymore.
Yeah, but it's only you
But the
that's
thought
made it
of
not
it,
happen.
it's only me. Yeah, it's only me that's made it not happen. It's only the changes I've made that got me out of that place. And you know, I used to be a great one at laughing about these things, but inside I was grieving. I was heartbroken because that's what people thought about me. I'd try and laugh it off. I was, you know, I could make a joke of anything around my size then. Thank God I don't need to do that anymore. So the first thing that I thought of when she said, where has it made a difference in your life, was today I can glide sideways, forwards, whatever. As long as I've got a width like that, I can turn sideways and the top of my legs will go through it. My bum and my belly will go through it, surprisingly. Sometimes it amazes me the gaps I can get through. I stand there and I think, flipping heck, 6-inch gap and I got through that. That's a massive bonus, and it's again a massive freedom, and it's a massive motivation to keep doing this, isn't it? The second thing that came to mind was bras. And I was trying to explain this to Joe earlier. You know, boys of 22 don't really get bras, do they? Well, you will one day. From being a teenager, always was. Well, I think I woke up when I was 11 and I was suddenly a 36 or 38 double D overnight. My mum used to take me to Marks and Spencer's and buy me the same bras that she had, and she was then in her 30s. But mine were always bigger than hers because she's much smaller at the top than I am. But then I grew and grew and grew some more. And eventually, when I came to Nottingham, I found a bra shop which was called Johnston's or Johnson's. And it also was called Phonobra because I think they had an online service as well. But I used to go regularly back to this same shop, same lady, get measured. And the only bra she ever recommended for somebody who was an H or a double H cup. But at the time, she told me I was a double D. I wasn't. No wonder they fitted badly. But there was a bra, and I think it's probably still around, called a Triumph Doreen. Doreen. I mean, does anybody have an anti-Doreen? The only
Doreen. It just sounds bad, doesn't
well,
it?
no, the only Doreens I know now are in their 80s, but Triumph Doreen. It was a bit like Katie Boyle and the Cross Your Heart, and you'd have to be my age to remember that. These bras were not, and forgive me if you still wear one and you like it, but for me,
Or your
these...
name's Doreen.
Sorry?
So I shouldn't have laughed at the name Doreen.
No, sorry. Oh, your name's Doreen, yeah. These bras were not pretty. They were not really what a teenager should have been wearing. They had straps this wide compared to what I wear today, which is average. They had straps that were amazingly wide. The thing I hated most about these bras were across the back strap they had 3 hooks and eyes. So the back was this deep, which did nothing for the feelings of feminism and romantic activity, shall we say, of a 18, 19 and 20 something. If I got myself into a clinch with a fella, I'd be thinking, please God, don't put your hand up the back of me top, because you'll never undo this bra. It takes all the energy I've got to undo. This is what Joe found was amusing. You know, because it's like, give it here, let me do it. You'll never get in there. Oh, God. You know, looking back on it, in the early days, Triumph Doreens came in black or white, and then eventually they got with it and they did a nude version. But it still wasn't right for me as a 18 to 30 something to be wearing these bras, which were the same bra that probably my grandma was wearing at that stage. So what I'm saying to you today, let me be honest, if you're wearing a Triumph Doreen, go to Bravissimo and get freedom. When I started to lose weight, even when I was still in probably 18 stone, something like that, my friend took me to Bravissimo. And okay, initially I still had a bra with 3 hooks and eyes at the back, but I had pink ones and purple ones and lavender ones and turquoise and multicoloured, and I felt feminine. I had, went into underwired bras, which when I went to Johnson's, they said, oh no, they don't make them for your size. Now, Johnson's Johnson's, I don't know if it's Johnson's or Johnston's, always measured me as a 42 double D. Even at 18 stone, 17 stone, 16 stone coming down, in Bravissimo, I was a 38. My cup size has come down from a double H. I'm now an F or a G, depending on which bra I choose. I now have bras that have a strap across the back that is that deep. And I can have one hook or two hooks and eyes, depending on the bra I choose. And I can't tell you how lovely it is. And the freedom. And I actually feel like a woman. Not like some trussed up old turkey. I wish I'd kept one of these Triath bras. I really wish I'd kept one, because the difference today, the freedom today, the motivation to stay where I am today, because I like nice underwear. So while to some of you this will feel like, oh, she's blathering on again, this is my experience, this is my story. So that has made a massive difference. And the other thing I like about Bravissimo, if nobody's tried it, nobody lives near one, they're worth travelling to. They look you up and down. They don't touch you with a tape measure. In fact, they don't touch you at all. They take you into a sizable changing room with a locked door in total privacy. They look you up and down and they tell you with one look what size you are. And I've taken friends to Bravissimo since my friend took me. I've taken a number of friends and they've all had the same experience as me. They've loved it. Because whilst you don't necessarily want to strip off in front of a stranger, they're not going to touch you. They're not going to judge you. I have a friend who goes there who's had double mastectomy. She goes with me now. They look at you. They tell you what size you are. They bring you in as many bras as you want to try on. I can go to Marks and Spencer's today, and I've done it with a friend, and Marks and Spencer's measure me to be a 38C, right? Okay. John Lewis measured me to be 38, I think it was an E or a double E. I go to Bravissimo, I am a 36, double F or G, depending on the cut of the cup, shall we say. That works for me. I love it. They also, once you've decided where you're at, once you've decided what you like, you can order new bras over the phone. Every 10th bra, you get a free one to the value of 30 quid.
YouTube, now
So,
12:36
excuse
p.m.
me. Excellent service. The final thing of the three things I would have said to my friend was toilets. There's something else that sticks in my mind from when I was at my biggest. You know when you're at the pub with your friends?
Screen locked.
Sorry, excuse my talking phone. When you're at the pub with your friends, when you're in public toilets, when you're in a restaurant, wherever, they save space on their toilets. You might go in there, and when you're as big as I was and you weigh 22 stone, by gum, do you have problems closing that door sometimes? You have to sidle down the side of the toilet to be able to shut the door. Well, I did. I don't anymore. Another freedom. Things like that back then I didn't even realise. Well, I did realise they were a big problem for me because they used to upset me internally. Things like that today have gone. So the only motivation I need today to stay where I'm at is to think about where I used to be. But I don't need to do that on a daily basis. I just get up every morning and I do plan. I get up every morning, I eat well. I get up every morning, I live my life. And that is because of Slimming World. And I get up every Saturday morning and I go to group. Right? I have blathered today, haven't I? Just one more thing before I go. I'm considering doing a question and answer session. Can I have some comments from anybody who thinks that would be a good idea, who would like to see me do that? I don't know, you may not have questions you want to ask me because I talk so much anyway. I may have touched on everything, but if there is something that you'd like to know about me, about my journey with Slimming World, even about my journey with blindness, I don't have a problem with. A lady sat with me at group this morning and spoke to me about my experiences around blindness, and I'm happy to talk about anything like that. I don't want to talk about financial things. I don't want to talk about my other family members or anything like that. And I know you would all respect that privacy and they're not questions you'd ask me. but I am prepared to talk about just about anything else. So if you think a question and answer session would be a good thing, then please message me, send me questions, private message me. If you don't want me to use your name, with the question, just say so and we'll do it anecdotally or whatever. But I'm happy to do that. For today, I am so grateful that you are there and that I am here. And I am grateful to everybody who makes an effort to vlog, to everybody who messages me, to everybody who's subscribed to me, because being involved in YouTube and doing this kind of thing just widens your circle of friends. It widens, your wealth of experiences because you learn from other people. You'll learn things that you'd never use. You'll hear things that don't impact your life. But if it's somebody else's truth and somebody else's experience, it's worth listening to, because one day you might need that. I know I've heard things in my past 14 months on YouTube vlogs that have just set me off on a new phase, on a new chapter, that have inspired me, that have motivated me, that have kept me on the wagon. I'm so grateful to all of you who take the time to do this. I'm not going to start naming people over and above what I've said already, but there are people who message me weekly. There are people doing this all over the world, It's not just a small community, it's a worldwide community. So anything we can do to support, encourage and motivate each other, there's that word motivate again. But if you wake up one morning and you think, I don't feel motivated, don't worry about it. Just eat what you're supposed to eat and get through that day. And my other tip is, if you wake up one morning, Linda's shared this on Linda's journey this week, she's been hungry. I've been through patches like that when there's no reason for being hungry. You've had enough, you know that you're on plan, but you still feel hungry. Well, you know what I've done on those occasions? I've gone and made myself something like a jacket potato and baked beans, because that's filling. It's on plan. I've come back half an hour later, I've still been hungry. I bloody well went and made myself another jacket potato and baked beans. And do you know what? Eventually I was physically full, but I was still on plan. So that might help somebody. It might not be jacket potato and baked beans, you might want to make yourself something else. But as long as it's on plan, you're covered. So thanks for staying with me. Thanks for listening to me waffle. Thanks to all of you out there who support me and encourage me. And I'd just like to say, hi Helen. Cheers to all of you. Bye.